Welcome to the Renegade Report. I'm your host, Francis Mayer, and I hoped that Chris was going to talk me in. He's the producer of the program, but instead I'll introduce myself. I'm the Sports Information Director of the greatest junior college or community college, depending on what you prefer, athletic department in the known universe. How do I know? Because I'm there every day, and I see the hard work that our student athletes and coaches put in. We are 20 teams strong, with over 500 student athletes and all of the support staff to make that happen. And they are governed by one person. There can be only one, the athletic director, Sandy Taylor. Welcome to the show, Coach Taylor.
Thank you, Francis. Good to be here.
It is wonderful to be here. It's another season of Renegade Athletics. And this is the first time in the history of the program, dating back to the early 20s, when there's been 20 programs. How is that?
Well, it's busy, as you can imagine, but
Yes.
but it's a lot of fun. I hear that fight song, and it
Gets the
does
blood boiling.
energize you.
Yes.
Yep, get you going.
Absolutely. And the two editions this year, we had one edition last year in beach volleyball, and but the edition this year has been men's soccer. And how is that program, how is that going? How's the public response?
The public response has been great, and the student-athlete response has been great, and I think Coach Martinez is doing a great job. So far, there's not any problems, very happy with it, just love watching them play.
And I was going to ask about this. First, I'm going to turn off my IFB because, man, I'm loud this morning. You coached for many years. And I think that sometimes folks, judging by little messages and posts that I see on our social media accounts, and you can follow us there on Facebook, Bakersfield College Athletics, Instagram, Go Gades Go, or Twitter at Go Gades Go. How much of your time was taken up with coaching when you coached the BC softball program? Successfully, I might add.
Well, it's ongoing every day, all day, 365 days a year. You're thinking about it all the time as a head coach, because if you're not in the heat of the season, you're actually analyzing, evaluating what things could you do better, how could we make this work better. So coaches work a lot of hours, maybe not on the books, but they're thinking about it all the time, much like teachers do all summer long, planning for the next year. So it's an ongoing, everyday thought process.
And there are stresses that come with it that someone in a different industry might not anticipate. How many times when you were a coach, and how long did you coach?
I coached 31 years.
31 years. Mm-hmm. How often did someone approach you when you were just being Sandy, when you were shopping for groceries, say, or at a movie theater, and comment on your job performance?
Well, I would say that we had a lot of positive comments.
Of course.
However, there are people who are asking questions all the time. How can I get my student enrolled? What do we need to do to get them to play? I just had an alumni come back who has a niece that is wanting to play volleyball, and her and her sister came in and said, how do we go about that? So, and that's as an athletic director. So even as an AD, you have a lot of questions. People want to know, how do we do this? How can we make this better for our students? So like I said, it's ongoing. I would say, there's rarely a moment that goes by that I'm not on the clock.
And then you develop a connection with your athletes as well. And I imagine as an athletic director, maybe it's still the same, but you have this period of time with them, especially at a school like ours, that's very brief, but where you can exact a lot of change in their lives or influence positive behaviors, right?
Well, we hope that that's what we're doing, because that is our goal, is to make these students better students, and athletes, but better human beings. And, it's like a family. You spend a lot of time together, and responsibilities are like a family where we all have a role to play. And, so those students come to know you in a different light because you are intrusive in how can we make them better students. And so, yeah, that's our job, is to impact students' lives.
Well, it really is, and I find myself sometimes getting on the soapbox for the department with folks on campus and in the community who ask, why athletics? And it's like, I forget, you only see the competitions.
Right.
You don't see the tears and the sweat and the rest of it that goes into putting on the bright white uniform.
Right, and the team behind the team is huge, and if we miss a beat, it affects that team. And so there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of dotting your I's, crossing your T's, but those students put in a lot of time and a lot of hard work, and we are committed to them to give them the best experience possible, and that's what keeps us going every day, is to see that joy on their face. and the excitement of getting to play. And this last couple of weeks has been a lot of fun to watch that, whether it was the opening football game or, men's soccer playing at home and applauding the crowd after it's over. And, so that's a lot of pride that comes with watching those students compete.
Yeah, and teaching them about our traditions, and lately even making some new ones. Now, this summer was different for us. Summer is a time where we kind of regroup. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's a little bit of a slower pace. Now, this past summer, we overhauled GoGades.com, and if you haven't had a chance to visit it yet, please do so. A lot of work has gone into that, and I think that it's a better platform for highlighting our student-athlete successes and the work that our coaches put into teams. There's some content up there, some videos, and ways for you to get to know our teams better. But given that we were more busy this summer than maybe in past summers, there is this lull. There is this kind of emotional lull. And then football comes back first, right? And cross country and all these different sports. And then you remember again, the blood beats a little bit quicker and life is a little more exciting. How did you feel at the last football game? Did it meet your expectations? Was there any concern?
Well, I was excited to get going again. Everybody kind of was sitting, holding their breath to see what was going to happen. But, you start out the game as any student athlete, a little bit nervous. There's some youth there. So I think anybody who starts out playing a game that says they're not nervous is not being truthful. If you're not nervous, sometimes I think you're not prepared.
Yes.
But I felt like our football team, handled themselves really well. They played hard. They made some adjustments, both offensive and defensive. So everything went very smoothly, and I was happy that we came out with a win. That always helps.
Oh, my gosh. Boy, does it. Yes. And that's kind of the bigger point that I was getting to and asking you about your coaching career is that there aren't too many jobs where people in the public can come up to you and just tell you what they think of how you've done. Right?
Oh, absolutely. And everybody knows how it should have been done better by calling a play or should have done that or
put this athlete in.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they're not there with them every day to know what things have been talked about, what they're not doing correctly, and in fact, what they are doing correctly. That is why we called that play in the first place or made that decision. Coach Carl Ferrer and I talked about a little bit this week. If you looked at his win-loss record at 2-4, you think, wow, well, they're not doing very good. But the 4 losses are to the same 2 teams a week apart, and the improvement they made between the first meeting and the second meeting is really what we should be evaluating, assessing our team on. But if you're an outside person, all you see is it's still a loss, and that doesn't really explain the whole story.
No, it certainly doesn't. And the other factors, how other teams are going about competing. And like you said, at Bakersfield College, we are very serious about instilling integrity and doing things the right way.
Absolutely.
Even when it hurts, right?
That's right.
And it's been said about other things, just generally speaking, that, well, you could just say you didn't, or you could deny it, or you could, ignore it or look the other way. But what message does that send to the student athlete?
Well, exactly. We want to do what's right because it's right, not because it's popular, and it's going to be hard. Anything worth doing is hard, and so that's what we're trying to instill in everybody as students, so we're holding ourselves to that same expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we do, and we do, from the top of the operation and you down to everybody who works in a support capacity, and there are a lot of folks. And then there are the success stories that we hear of folks going on to get degrees, and oftentimes the first in their family, right?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of first-generation students at Bakersfield College, not just in athletics, but campus-wide.
Across the board, and more students than ever at that. What else is coming up? What would you want people to know that maybe they don't know that we're doing up at BC?
Well, I don't know that there's anything that people don't know. I would like to highlight a little bit. Wrestling's home this Saturday.
Yes.
They don't have a lot of home events, but we do have more this year than we've had in the past. So check out the schedule on Go Gauge. But they do wrestle this Saturday at home at 9 o'clock. And then I just highly encourage folks to come out and watch an event. It's just once you get connected to a team and you see their personalities and you see how they change from game or meet or match, then you get connected to them personally, and that's what the joy is. I also want to commend our men's women's cross country team. They had a great outing last week in Ventura. The women's team finished finished third, and so improvement is what they're looking for, but they had a good showing in their second week, so we're proud of them for that.
And cross country, as a former wrestler, I would like to add, is not a game, okay? When people say, what sport do you play? I used to always say, well, I don't play games, I wrestle. And cross country can say the same thing. Those workouts they do, the amount of work they put in, it is gut churning. I mean, that's a tough sport.
Well, I was not a runner, so I will say that I have a lot of admiration for them and their ability to run, and especially to run with some speed and on, tough courses, as you mentioned, hilly courses, sandy courses. So, I think it's a different kind of animal that if you're not a runner, you might not understand.
Sure.
But, if you're a true fan of athletes, you see what they do to improve and the hard work that they put in.
Absolutely, and it's not hard to fall in love with athletes. And every single season that I've been at the college, there has been an incredible tale from at least one of our athletes. In past seasons, we had Jack Murphy, a wrestler, have a perfect season, and that's something you watch every week with bated breath. Has he lost? Has he given up a takedown? And it's really something to behold. Last season, Stephanie Lugo, who's gone on to USC, congratulations, Stephanie. She overcame a pretty severe knee injury and returned to play and contribute to a team that, as Coach Ferreira said, played up to their potential. They didn't win the state title, but doggone it, they went deep into the playoffs, deeper than they expected. Well, maybe not that they expected, but that others expected.
Well, yeah, you set your expectations high, and they reached their potential, and Stephanie was a huge part of that. And talk about courage and, the Sports Center ESPN kind of story where she comes back in after a severe knee injury and contributes to a big win on the playoff road. So, those are the stories that we all like to hear and support those athletes in those endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some of the best coaches, I think, in the state, whether it's Coach Tim Payton, who has seen a number of his athletes in baseball go on to the professional ranks, and they had an incredible playoff run last year, to Coach Carl Ferreira, who has coached at the Division I level, to a number of our football staff. And I'm leaving out coaches, but I think all of them are actually really special.
Actually, they all are really special, and the joy of that is they're all unique as well. And their sports are unique. So every day is something, energy, that you don't see if you're not involved with them as coaches. So, they're unique, they're special, and they're very talented. So we have a great staff, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun. And, I can't imagine myself doing anything else. There's just a tremendous amount of pride in it.
No, absolutely not. And you did get to do what you wanted to do since you were a child. You wanted to be a PE coach, and you've taken that, I think, to its terminus. I don't know what you could do after this that would top being an athletic director. Maybe be the presidential advisor on physical fitness if they still have that job. I know Schwarzenegger did it for a while. And like you said, we have a lot of different sports, and they have a lot of different energies and organizations and strategies involved. Really, there's one for every personality. And we want to thank our sponsor, W.A. Thompson, but we also want to thank you and Stan Green for putting your heads together and coming up with an incredible way for our Kern High School District high school students to come to any of our athletic events for just $1. I know it's crazy. Somebody take her pulse, okay? Get her to the doctor. But it's true. Any Kern High School District student who comes to a Bakersfield College athletic event and shows their student ID is going to get in for just $1. And you'll have 2 opportunities to take advantage of that this weekend when we host the Bakersfield Duels, a wonderful opportunity to see some excellent collegiate wrestling, or at 6 p.m., gates open at 4:30, when Bakersfield College hosts its first home game of the season at Memorial Stadium against Chaffey College. It's a rematch of the Western States Bowl from a couple seasons ago, and they had a great road win against Allen Hancock, and we can only expect more of the same, so please come out and support the Renegades. It's going to be an awesome weekend. Plus, you can get a Bakersfield College, what are we calling it? Is it a ball marker?
They're ball markers, but it's a poker chip.
In the style of a poker chip. We don't encourage gambling. We've got Coach Byron Martinez from men's soccer coming up next. Don't go anywhere. There's more Renegade Report coming up.